we got another one for Solitaire Chess, and this time I'm playing against a 2200 Lee Chess rated player. I have black yet again, and let's go ahead and get started. And I will help Coach Matt out a little bit because this is not his comfort zone at all, a King's Indian. And I'm going to go ahead and give the plan. Now, my opponent played a variation that is lower down on the frequency. If I don't just skip moves. It's Bishop D3, and this is the Seirawan variation. Mm-hmm. Now, let's compare it to the main line and then show you why I played the move that is optimal in the structure.
Okay.
So the normal way to play a King's Indian would be something like this. Now, the bishop's on E2, and we're going to have a distinct difference here, say if they play D5 or the normal move castles, where we end up having knight C6, D5, knight E7, and then this is, for instance, the bayonet. So what's different with bishop D3, white has stayed very flexible here. So if you make a normal enough looking move, white actually has a multitude of options to choose from in the position, which makes this move very interesting if black castles. Mm-hmm. He can play F3, transposing into a samish, F4 into a 4 pawns attack. He can go knight GE2. There's many different lines, which is why a lot of King's Indian authors are recommending to go knight C6 straight away in order to bother the d-pawn. But me being the psycho that I am, I play castles because I'm prepared for all these systems. I'm like, why not? So for instance, if knight GE2, the main line, knight C6, same idea, different move order, but I'm allowing all the other stuff because crazy. E5, D5, and here's the key. Not knight E7, but since the bishop is on D3, knight D4. And this is that note for the King's Indian players out there, is that against bishop D3, you want knight C6 because you want the D4 square. And if the pawn seems weak, it's not. A5, everybody's fighting over the d-pawn right now. But then after B5, knight C5, and we're happy to give the pawn for serious play. King H1, no bishop H3 stuff. Trying to provoke F3, which was played in the game between Moisenko Amin, which Basim Amin played for the Miami Champions in the first 2 seasons of the Pro Chess League, and is the only player to ever make it over 2,700 FIDE from the African continent.
Wow.
So after F3, we improve on that chess.com game from 2020 with Queen E3, where black already has an edge. Mm-hmm. So, good stuff. After castles, my opponent, though, plays H3. And notice how this is compared to what we just talked about, a none-of-the-above approach. Okay. H3 doesn't belong with the samish. H3 doesn't belong with the 4 pawns. H3 doesn't necessarily belong with this structure. This was a waste of move and already makes me feel confident about my position and chances. Okay. But there's multiple correct answers here, so that should make you feel comfortable at least. What move would you play here? Give us 3 options.
All right, first ones that come to mind are rook E8, B6, and I initially thought H5, but then I thought no, because then G4 and you're actually getting ripped open. So,
okay,
maybe another waiting move. E6, not quite C6. I guess C6.
And I'm not going to be too harsh on Matt here because he's not a King's Indian player. Okay. And most of the systems that he typically plays, you can wait around. The King's Indian is an attacking opening, and we're trying to make things happen. E5 is a natural move. Like, it's a common theme that I'll see when a lot of players know E5 needs to be played, they'll play rook E8. But the thing is, you want that rook on F8 So if the center ever gets locked later, you can play for f5. So say I'm just going to play knight d7, for instance, to play f5. But one point of this h3 is white could actually play g4 here, and then we could be in a situation where if we play f5, our king's wide open, and white's going to go bishop e3, queen d2, castle queenside, and we could end up dead lost. So this is an instructive moment. We could make h3 valuable for white if we play e5, but there are multiple ways to play a King's Indian structure, and you actually want to visit your old friend the Benoni here.
Okay.
e6.
This looks nice here already.
And we get ourselves one of these situations where it's standard type Benoni position. That's another way to go. Now,
this really makes switching openings difficult.
Right. But after h3, the thing about that Benoni, you have to love the Benoni to play that, because that's one of the best lines for white in the Benoni. Now, I understood this, so I have a none of the above approach. I play a6 and wait. Because I want to see what white is going to do first before I react.
Okay.
Is he going to play knight f3, or is he going to play knight ge2? And I still have the ability to play c5 and go for the Benoni plan. And also I have c6 and b5 for the Bayern plan.
Okay.
So, flexible. My opponent goes a4 though. And that set off alarm bells for me that he's worried about b5. And that move's good against the Benoni. So I don't want to play c5 anymore. So I play knight c6 instead, putting pressure on the d-pawn, and now I'm swapping back to that Seirawan plan that we saw in the initial get-go, that potentially I could play e5 and knight d4. After knight f3, e5, what do we think?
Knight d4.
Knight d4 would be natural, but I felt because the pawn was on a4.
You can't play bishop g4.
I can't play bishop
Sorry.
g4. That's true.
Yeah.
But I felt in this position, because of the change in pawn structure, the a pawn's being moved,
Okay.
he can't punish my knight on b4, and this is kind of annoying.
Okay.
So this is one of those, I understand the plan, I know the plan, but I'm changing gears and jumping into b4 to provide something for my opponent to worry about. Am I going to capture the bishop or not? And here, my opponent misevaluated the position because he should go a5. This prevents me from anchoring my knight and making it a good piece. I don't want to capture the bishop on d3 because my knight's better than that bishop.
Yeah.
That's a pawn with a funny hat. All it's doing is staring at the e-pawn and c-pawn. I don't want it. But my opponent misevaluated and played bishop b1. And then what move did I play?
a5.
Because I don't want him to do it.
Yeah.
I'm securing the structure. He castles. Now, 3 candidate moves.
It's just amazing how you just got this position like this. All right, b6 to improve the bishop on the queen side, but I guess...
Is the bishop going to develop to b7 or a6?
I was going to think of a6, but I guess...
b3.
Oh yeah, never mind. That makes no sense.
And he's just biting on a big wall if we take him there or there.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe we want f5, go for a kingside attack, so knight h5 or knight d7.
Okay.
Or...
Which one's more optimal? We've got 3 knight moves.
Based on the fact that you have a knight anchored on b4, you can keep your knight on c5 for a long time, so probably knight d7.
Okay. I could appreciate that idea. One thing, if knight d7, he could potentially go bishop e3 and then plan to take if you ever plant it there. I was looking more towards, as like people forget that this is the bad bishop in the King's Indian.
Okay.
So one theme is if this knight goes h5 to f4, if he ever captures, it unleashes the bishop.
Okay.
So knight h5 with the idea of going to f4, because if the knight's on f4, he's starting to whisper to the white king side about attacking ideas. So just, aggressive placement. Knight h2, starting to react to me. And now I want to play f5. But if I play f5, he takes, I take back with the bishop, He takes, I take back with the rook, and then he goes g4, and then I start questioning why I play chess. So I want to play f5. f5 is the plan.
Okay.
How do we make f5 happen? 3 candidate moves.
Oh gosh, we're having difficulty finding one. What are we trying to prevent white from having when we play f5? h4?
Well, if f5 pawn takes, if you take with a g pawn, his queen takes your knight on h5.
Okay.
And when you play the f5 break in King's Indians, you want to take with a pawn because it controls key squares and opens the g file, so you could play king h8 and rook g8 and have attacking ideas most of the time.
Okay, the only thing I can see is queen h4, which would protect the knight, so you can take back with the pawn.
Okay, that's one candidate move.
2 more, oh gosh.
Say he plays knight f3 or something, you're going to have to go back.
Okay.
And then he's going to go h2 again, and you've mildly improved your position, but you're still not getting f5 in.
Queen e8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's interesting.
Because it is X-raying the h5 knight, so when f5's played, we can do all the captures, and if the g-pawn is moved, the queen is able to go to g6, lining up with the king, also king h8, rook g8. Everybody seems to be coordinating in a wonderful way, and that's why queen e8 is the move that I played. Nice, flexible ideas for the future.
I wouldn't have seen that if you didn't ask me to look for more.
Right. Now, knight b5. He's not liking our coordination. I respect that. So, I say queen e7. That's fine. I slightly improved. So did you. We're trading hits here. Bishop d2. And here is a move that I typically would not play in a King's Indian, but I want to make note of the fact that every single one of white's minor pieces are misplaced here.
Okay.
All 4. That's weird.
So
That rarely happens in chess. Now, f5 is the move that we've been striving for, but we can't make it happen.
Okay.
So what's another pawn break in the position?
I mean, only the c pawn. And where do you go? I mean, they're going to take your knight no matter what. I like c5 because it solidifies your pawn if it recaptures. So after a takes b.
But it also makes it where you'll never be able to kick that knight out of b5 ever.
Correct. So
Double-edged decision.
But what's the knight doing there?
Well, it's not about what it's currently doing. It's as I try to attack later, that d6 pawn is always going to need to be nursed by something.
Okay.
And if it has to be my queen, you're essentially taking my queen out of the game to do a defensive job, having to deal with just a knight. And that's going to lead to long-term problems.
So the stutter step c6, kick the knight out, then c5?
c6 is what I played in the game to kick the knight out because he has misplaced his bishop and he's no longer attacking d6. This is, I'm blowing up the position, and we're going to see where you're at the end of this.
Okay.
He takes, goes knight c3, and now I have defended my knight because he can't capture it anymore, and his bishop's still misplaced. And then I continue here with bishop e6. Pressure on the c-pawn. Forces b3. Now we're back to our idea of what is the natural plan in the King's Indian?
f5, so
Typically
queen back to
f5.
e8.
Queen could go back to e8, but we have even better here now. That's one candidate move.
Do we not want to play d5?
Okay, I think we had a discussion about a middle game position recently
Okay.
where your impulse to blow things up like that will liquidate dramatically the position. Now, it would help white with his bishop on b1. It would help with his rook on a1. If d5, I would say white is very close to equality, if not better, after all of the release of the tension.
Okay.
Why can't we play f5 right now?
The knight.
Uh-huh.
Knight f4.
Knight f4. And also, you're looking at the follow-up. What if black could move again, what are 2 moves you look at?
f5.
And what's an option that's available now that was not available last move?
Queen G5.
Threatening mate and a huge attack.
Okay.
So these are the types of ideas that we're looking for. Well, he played Queen F3.
Okay.
That is defending against 1. So now we look at the other one again.
Okay.
F5. And after Rook E1, now it gets nasty. My opponent has not prepared himself well for this. Take.
Mm-hmm.
And I could play knight takes H3 straight away and win the queen. But understanding that sometimes the threat can be more devastating than the actual execution.
Yep.
I play D5 here to make sure I'm not going to have a backwards pawn later and to try to squeeze more to see if my opponent will freak out once he sees that his queen's going to drop. He plays bishop takes F4. And we get these complications.
Just keep it there.
That get down to a, I'm not worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now when we're up material, what do?
Trade.
And E4 again. When we're up material, we trade. So what is the move that is going to end the game the fastest?
Get both rooks.
And my opponent resigns.
Mm-hmm.
So we hit on a number of ideas from the King's Indian defense there, and another solitaire chess game.
That was a good one.